Shara Rose is an all-round entertainer who is not only a singer and songwriter, but a dancer as well. And as a result of all those skills, she is in demand, touring with Jason Owen, Tania Kernaghan, and Tones and I, amongst others. She has also been releasing heartfelt country pop songs, and the latest is Finding My Way. Hello, Shara. How are you?
Hello, Sophie. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very happy to be talking to you again. And it has been a while since we've spoken, not because I don't love the music you're putting out, just because time gets away. But the songs this year have been really great. And so I'm looking forward to talking to you about them. But I would like to start by saying the last time we spoke, you were on tour with Jason Owen. So where have you been lately and what have you been up to?
Yes, so I have been doing all kinds of things. Jason and Tanya's tour wrapped up and it was amazing. And then I kind of decided that I wanted to kind of branch out on my own show and create something that was a bit different, a bit, just all the things, all the facets of my what I have as an artist, I wanted to kind of put in a show. So I had these kind of all separate things. I wanted to put them all together. So I created my own show called Dance the Night Away, which we toured around New South Wales, which has been so much fun. I put a lot of music out. I wanted to put 4 songs out this year, and I got my 4 songs out, which is really cool. And yeah, I opened for Tones and I, which was pretty wild. Um, pretty exciting. And I've been doing even some like ads. I don't know if you've seen like on actual TV ads, and I've been dancing and we're doing a Latin dance competition in November. So it's been a bit wild. It's been so much fun though. Like honestly, it has been an amazing year. Yeah, it's kind of like a little rundown so we can kind of talk about things in more depth.
Yeah, so let's talk about the TV ads actually, because that's something I didn't realize. So is that you doing voice or
No, I
appearing?
was actually acting. I was acting in a TV ad. Yeah, yeah. So I kind of have my fingers in a few things. So I got a gig in a ad for the Choose Your Insurance, and
Right.
I rocked up and I thought I was just an extra like in the background. I rocked up and they were like, "No, you're the main girl like in the ad." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know." So like into hair and makeup, you're the and I was like, "Okay, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha." So we're all pros here. We just charged for, but it was so much fun. I had a great time, and I actually haven't seen it live, but I've seen it on like YouTube. But I keep getting messages from people all around Australia being like, I just saw you in an ad. Is that you? And I'm like, yes,
Right.
that was me. So if you see a choosy ad, I'm probably the girl at the front. So pretty cool, very cool. I wanted to get into some more acting stuff for a long time, and I got a really cool gig. So it was great.
So,
No, it was
sounds like you might be up for more of that sort of thing. But also, I want to talk about the show Dance the Night Away because putting on your own show is quite an enterprise. So, what was the conception of it? What was the theme? Like, how did you choose which music you were going to put in it?
Yeah, so it's been an idea I've had for a really long time. And when I was on tour with Jason and Tanya, like I learned so much about how to put shows on. So a testament to them, like I learned a lot on tour. And so when we kind of finished and wrapped up, I was like, all right, I have to have like a niche, like there's so many artists and you have to kind of stand out and find your own space.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I have this whole dance world that I've kept separate to my music world. And I've always wanted to put them together, but I always thought, oh, it has to be, when we're bigger and putting on more shows and have more budget and all these kind of things. But then I was just kind of thinking, why don't we just start with what we have now? So I got some people that I work in a dance company separately, and I got some of the dancers that I knew and were good friends with, Mercedes and Alonso. And I just kind of told them the idea, and I was like, "What do you think? Can we be part of this idea of just putting on this kind of dancing, singing show?" And it's kind of just at the early stages now, and they just came on board. And so I got choreographers, and it was the idea of taking like a night through the ages and taking all these dance kind of hits that people knew and could dance along to and vibe with, and going through time, and the mix of that having my own original music in the middle and been able to tell a story of like my artistry and kind of my message of hope and things like that, throughout all these fun little numbers that people of all ages would know. So we just started putting it together. It took 9 months of rehearsing to get like, it's like 13 routines, like full on. We do like Latin, we do jazz, we do swing, we do like country style. So we're all rounders, and there's flips and tricks and lifts and partner work and solo stuff and like 5 costume changes. So I put them all together, all the routines with my choreographers, and I literally was like hand diamonting like
Oh,
costumes
wow.
to do them like the cheaper way, because if you buy costumes that are already done, it's like 2 grand for these
Yeah.
costumes. So I was like, all right, well, budget over here, independent artists. So I literally like hand stoned like thousands of diamantes onto
You were
costumes.
the bedazzler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stoning for like 2 hours. Um, and then I got like the band. So Adam Black is my MD, and he actually on Jason's tour, and he's my guitarist, plays a lot of shows with me, and he just saw the vision and came on board. So got the band involved as well. With a couple other guys, Kane and Dylan, and we went to Tuncurry and performed it with the band, and it was absolutely like my heart in a show, like all the facets of my life in a show, and everyone has a great time. People get up and dancing with us, they sing along, like it's very interactive. Um,
Mhm.
there's parts people can follow along with the dancing, and it's just been so much fun. It's so exhausting, like singing and dancing at the same time is no joke.
Yeah.
So I've been running like around my like suburbs, like singing the songs of my show to get myself
Wow.
like able to do it, which probably look like an absolute fool, but gotta do what you gotta do in this industry. So
Look, I remember reading that Matthew Knowles made Beyonce and Solange and Kelly as well. I think when she was living with them as a kid, do just that, run and sing at the same time. So
yeah.
I look at Beyonce and I think, well, yeah, that's where it came from, but that's a lot of preparation over the years to get to that point. So it would be so hard.
Yeah, it was really hard. And then like also I didn't factor in the adrenaline hit that you're getting on stage. And I'm like I feed a lot of energy. And so that kind of just like had to really like calm myself down on stage because I was just getting a bit like too hyped up and like breathless because I was getting so excited. Because I'm dancing, I'm just like really vibing with everybody. And I'm like, wait, you need to sing, you need to calm your heart rate down, chill out.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it's been a massive learning curve. Like I've learned so much putting on a show on my own. Like obviously I have an amazing team, and that is one thing I've learned is that you have to have a great team around you to build
Mm.
something like this because you can't do it all by yourself. And I'm so blessed and so grateful to have these people in my team that just believe in it and just want to be part of something that's just so much fun and could be huge, like, and just building as we go on. So I am very, very grateful, and we just have like, yeah, the best time. So
So are they, so it sounds like it's still going because I
still
thought,
going, yeah, for sure. We're actually in Kiama next Sunday, 17th of November.
okay.
So
And after that, any dates?
after that, no, not till next year, but we'll think about going WA. So I'm actually from Perth, so I'm hoping to bring it home and like do a bunch of like big runner shows. But there's lots of like just kind of people keep picking it up as we go, and like we're pitching it to different festivals and venues and things like that. So we've done it. We've been to Wagga Wagga, been to Orange, Terrigal, Tuncurry, Sydney. So we've been doing it like all around. So it just kind of keeps evolving and carrying on. So it's really cool.
So it sounds like you're also booking it yourself. So you've been your own booking agent, basically the whole entrepreneurial thing of putting it together.
Yeah, my manager has been the booking person because the capacity in my life is not there. So,
I'm probably shocked about that,
like I
Shara. But anyway.
like I said, I need a team around me. I can't do everything. So very much, yeah, like she books it, and organizes everything, and then we organize everybody and the dates. The dates are the hardest part of putting these things on because getting like we're a team of three, with just me and my dancers, then like about six with the band, and getting dates that everybody's free has
Yeah.
been the biggest challenge of this whole thing. So that's probably the hardest part, but we definitely have been able to make it happen, which has been great. But yeah, definitely still going. So into next year, and we'll probably just keep evolving into different things and kind of adding songs, and as I release my music, obviously I add them into my show and make them all fit, and yeah.
Good that's fantastic. And I'm a huge advocate for fun and joy. And I think adults in particular don't let themselves have that much fun. And it sounds like this show is really fun.
Yes, very, very much so. And that's the thing, like, I guess the whole idea was that it's giving people a chance to just escape and just have a great time. And because it's so interactive, I want it to be like they just forget about everything else and they're just in the room. And then in the room, they're having so much fun, but also my message of like hope and inspirational stories and things like that come into it. And it's just this like really cool 2 hours where it's very immersive. And just, yeah, just laughing. And I'm just silly on stage, and people are up and doing things, and
So given between the singing, the dancing, the adrenaline hit, take you about 12 hours to get to sleep afterwards.
oh my gosh, I'm absolutely useless. We're in Tuncurry, and I had driven up there on the same day. And then we did a sound check rehearsal, then the show, obviously, and then the wind down after the show. And everybody was like just wiped out. I remember Mercedes, one of my dancers, she was like falling asleep like on the couch. We were all chatting and eating afterwards. And I was like, guys, like I'm not tired, like I'm buzzing. But they all went to sleep, and I was just sitting in my hotel room, just like, oh gosh. I had to drive back the next day. I was like absolutely wrecked. Like, didn't you have a we went to bed early? I was like, guys, I was like
I
3
did
a.m.
not.
I couldn't calm down. Like, I had a great time.
I think it is the challenge too, because obviously some, rock and roll bands back in the day would just drink themselves into a stupor. But
Yeah.
you don't strike me as the sort of person who's going to do that.
I don't drink either, so I'm like, I'm just like drinking my tea. Ask Jason. He would, because I'm like, hey, you got my tea, Jason? We're on tour.
Winding down with a good chamomile, yeah.
Exactly right.
So you talked about the message of hope and inspiration in your own songs. So we'll now get into your songs. You've released several singles this year, and I'm wondering if that was a strategy you had last year to just start releasing things this year, in amongst obviously the other things you were doing.
Yeah, so it was all about getting as much music as I could out and within reason. And so I wanted to get 4 out this year, and I did that, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's been the hardest part, honestly, is the order, is knowing what order to put things out in, because it's kind of like I want to kind of make the story work in my, like, what I'm saying as an artist. And
Mhm.
so obviously my message of hope with like Hold On and songs like that was very much part of who I am. But then as I'm going through different experiences, I'm feeling different things. I'm meeting different people and hearing what other people are going through and what they like. And I want to make music that people obviously are inspired by and they feel that message of hope. And so, like, Heart on a Sleeve was one that it's quite a sad ballad of a song, but it always has that at the end, that message of hope. And
Mhm.
so, even though it's a sad story, the ending, I don't want to leave someone feeling like, ugh, at the end. I want them to
Yeah.
feel like, oh, you know what? That was so emotional, but you're right. Like, there is hope at the end of it,
Mhm.
even going through hard things. So, that's kind of how I'm writing music. That even if I'm in a bad place, I'm writing, then I'll come like, you know what? Like it'll all be okay. Like you'll make it work. You'll find the one and things like that. So without being too cheesy, but just making that kind of part of my message. So yeah, Heart in a Sleeve did really well. Actually, that was very exciting. That actually got on playlists for the
Mhm.
first time, which was very, very exciting for me. And then uh, falling, no, falling came out, which is actually an old song that I've had kind of in my archives for a while. So that
Interesting.
was pretty exciting to pull out because it was a bit different, a bit more of a different sound. But I was like, you know what? Let's just put it out. Bit of a kind of like more poppy kind of sound, which was very cool. And then came Purpose,
Mhm.
which was honestly like my baby of a song. Like I wrote that song a long time ago, going through some pretty like full on stuff. And I've held that back for a long time, but I've played it live a lot, Purpose, and people like really respond to it. So it was kind of time to put that one out. And yeah, it's a really beautiful song, and I love playing it live. And people, it's the one song everyone always comments about. So I'm really glad it's out in the world and people can listen to it because it is very inspirational and like very the cinematic kind of movement of the production is very moving. So
Mm.
very much a favorite of mine. And then yeah, Finding My Way is number 4. So
Yeah.
that is very fun. Kind of like an anthemic kind of like, you know what, like we've been working it all out, and we're on our way. We haven't figured it all out yet, but we're working it out and we're having a good time on the way. So that's kind of the whole message of that song of even though you go through things and things happen, you might make bad decisions, um, or react to different things, it'll all be okay in the end, and we're just figuring it out, and you don't have to have it all together all the time.
In fact, I had written down the word anthem about finding my way. So,
Good, I'm glad. I'm glad. I feel that way, so I'm glad you feel that way.
but I will say, "Purpose in the Process." I do love that song because that's the full title, "Purpose in the Process." Yeah, it's quite introspective, and so I really liked the whole flow of your songs with some upbeats, some more introspective, but all, as you said, with the message of hope at the end. And then Heart on Her Sleeve is written in the third person, as the title suggests, but I'm guessing the girl with a heart on her sleeve is you. So it was interesting in that creative decision to actually not say heart on my sleeve.
Yeah, well, at the end, I actually go like, I want my heart on my sleeve at the end. I remember when I was playing with my producer Josh, he was like, oh, plot twist, it was you the whole time.
Okay, yeah,
I was
that's
like,
true.
I
I
hope
did
that came across.
hear, yeah. But
But
again,
yeah,
it's a creative choice.
yeah, yeah, it definitely was like, I guess when I was writing it, I was writing it about something that I had gone through, but I was writing it as if, because I kind of write like a story and I was kind of just typing lyrics, 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 if I was telling a story about something I'd gone through to share with somebody else.
Mm,
And then I was like, huh, this could actually work in like song lyric. And so I kind of just ran with it. And yeah, I kind of liked it that it wasn't me, but it was just telling a story. Because then it kind of I hope it's kind of someone else's story as well they can relate to.
yeah.
And I kind of wanted to make that as part of the journey. And then at the end being like, obviously, I want my heart on my sleeve. I also am this girl. But hoping to make it kind of like a we're all kind of having something similar happen.
Mm,
Obviously, you know, girl meets boy, boy is not too nice, boy girl gets heartbroken is a very common story, unfortunately. So
yeah.
it kind of was creating that metaphor and imagery as well.
Mhm. So, given that you are someone who wears her heart on her sleeve, what are the risks and rewards of doing that?
Oh, the risk are you get your heart smashed. Smashed around. That is definitely the risk. But I mean, I have learned I'm a very open person, a very open book. Even on my social media with my like people that follow me, like I'm very open. I share a lot. And the hard part is that even in that sense, people can say whatever they want and they can be mean and bully
Yeah.
and just be unkind. And so even in a relationship, like, you know, being very vulnerable and open, you open yourself up to getting hurt because people disrespect that and take it for granted. Um, but the reward is like I found when I went through my messy relationship, it was I could be really bitter and hard and like, oh, I hate men and I hate this. And I've never been open again because I got so hurt. Or I can go, you know what? Like I move through that. I go through my angry stage, but I go, this is actually who I am. I'm open, I'm vulnerable, I want to share. And in my sense, like I'm sharing to create relationships with other people, to create closeness. I feel like in relationships, you have to have that vulnerability. Otherwise, it's all surface level stuff. I don't
Mhm.
like the small talk. I like getting deep. I like knowing people really well. And so in
Mhm.
relationship and friendships and with my fans even, like I like to know people and them know me and trust me and like me. And so that's the reward you get. And the right people will respect that and they'll appreciate it. People have told me, I love your transparency. I'm like, I'm really glad because that's what I want to be. I want to be transparent and open, and we can all have stories that we can relate to each other and you know go through life together because everyone's going through something and everyone has their own story. And I feel like if people could share what they went through, it could inspire so many people that go through similar things. So if I can be one person that does that, then that's good.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about finding your niche with your music, and I think that this is part of it, right? Like this is you actually deciding to not try to be someone other than who you are. With the risk of wearing your heart on your sleeve and being transparent, you are prepared to do it, and that's what people connect to. But it is, I would think in a world where yeah, you've got to come up with your brand, you've got to have the niche follower, you've got to have you ideally creating music that's going to be on radio or be on playlists. There would be a temptation to just think I need to manufacture this persona, which is harder to maintain
Yeah.
in some ways, but in other ways does is protective. So yeah, I think this is more just a comment about seeing this flow of authenticity through what you're doing into the music you're creating.
Yeah, and I mean, that's so great that you said that, Sophie, because even I was talking to one of my friends and I was like listening to my songs and they're all a bit different. Like they're not all the same kind of sound all the time. And I said, is this a problem? Like that they're all quite different? Like what's my thing? And she goes, the thing is that you're telling a story in every single one. Even if you're not telling like a heart and a sleeve story where it's a full-blown thing, you're actually saying something in every single song. It's not just a throwaway pop song where it's just like, oh, happy-go-lucky. She's like, you're actually saying something and certain listeners will appreciate that and like that because they want to hear the stories. And I was like, okay, you know what? I can go with that. Because that's how I feel when I write. I want to write about things that are happening and say something. And so, yeah, I'm glad that comes across.
Now, I just remembered something I wanted to ask about purpose in the process. I didn't write it down when you were saying it earlier. So when I was mentioning the song, I was like, what did I want to say? Now I've remembered. You said you held on to it for a few years. So I'm intrigued as to why.
Yeah, so Purpose was like my baby, like I said, like I wrote it a long time ago. And, sometimes in this industry, so when you put songs out, it doesn't get received well, or kind of like, they flops, it doesn't get the response you wanted. And to be honest, like when I wrote it, I love this song so much, and I was like, I don't want it to just kind of flop, and then I'll be like, my confidence will be shattered. Have no confidence. I'll be like, oh, well, this is my favorite song, and now it's no one really liked it. But I kind of got to the point where I was like, I don't think I really mind,
Okay.
because the industry's changed a lot. And I was like, this is just me being authentic. I'm just going to put this song out because I think it's time for it to be released into the world. And you know what? If it does well, it does well. If it doesn't, we'll write another one. It's okay. It's all good. Because I mean, I always find like so many artists talk about like, and like global artists talk about their favorite songs are the ones that people don't really like that much. And then they're like, songs, the ones that go off. And they're like, whatever. But, and so I was like, you know what? Like, it's really okay. It's really okay if, if it doesn't get to all the charts and do all these things, because it's just another one that I put out and someone will find it and people will like it. And
Yeah.
so that getting to that point in my like career was a thing for me. So that's kind of how I held it for so long, because I couldn't handle the rejection and the disappointment. But I was just like, you know what? This is the industry. Just carry on. Be you. Do your thing. Do all the
Yeah.
right things. Promote it. Da da da. But what will be will be.
Yeah. Well, and as you said earlier about your show, you said the phrase, why don't we just start? So obviously you've also arrived at that point with releasing music. It's like, why don't we just try?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not into the whole like, oh, we'll get there. It's like you have to take those baby steps, and yeah, I always say like you have to start with what you have and then build it. You can't go from 0 to 100 because A, it's overwhelming. And B, it's like you don't have the practice runs on the board, Like I want to keep building my shows and having more dancers in my shows, and then at country festivals having, all the kind of things happening. But it's like you have to start with what you have, because otherwise you don't get to here if you don't start here. People don't know you for that. So it'd be super random just to rock up and like, oh, look at me. I have all these costume changes, all these dances. It's like, where'd this come from? You put nothing out. So you knew the guitar for like, 10 years. So I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta like, pivot here. And the vision that I want is like we build towards that with the steps that we have.
Yeah. Well, I can certainly hear how you're building this year, and I imagine that you're looking ahead to next year, and there are other plans. But the final song for the year is "Finding My Way." So when did you write this one?
Finding My Way was written very recently, actually. I think it was about 2 months ago I wrote it, and then I literally called Josh and was like, "Let's record it." So it was a pretty quick turnaround. I think the fastest turnaround I've ever had with the song. But it was because I have a couple ready for next year, and they were going to be for this year, but I kind of wanted to end it on a more anthemic to kind of wrap up the 4 songs I've had this year, kind of keep the story going.
Yeah.
So obviously the 4 songs have been, about heartbreak, about, falling for people, wearing your heart on your sleeve, finding purpose. And I just was like, you know what, this is a really good like end of the year finisher to kind of
Mm.
wrap this whole theme up that I've been sharing with the world. Um, so yeah, it was written like honestly, it just kind of came out. It was very like, just da 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 da, and I was like, this could work. I really like this. And I showed my people. I always show people in my world. Like I have certain people that I show my songs to get their feed, like A&Rs almost, like feedback.
Mm.
And they all really liked it. And I was like, oh, is it too cheesy? Is it too like? And they're like, no, like it's just fun. It's a little anthem. And I have this image of like people being like, because the line is, I'm happy, free, and beautiful, and finding my way is like the tag. And I was like, I just have this image of like, girls being like, I'm happy, free, and beautiful. And, is that's what I have in my head to kind of, this is the vision I have for it. But yeah, it was very exciting to be out, and I put a lyric video out and just kind of showed like snippets of my year with just having fun. I was going to do a full music video of have different things, but I said, you know what, just the whole theme of it is finding my way. Let's just show me literally finding my way this year with different people in my world, and I was just having really like a lot of fun and not taking ourselves too seriously, and being on stage and off stage and that kind of whole thing of showing that to
Yeah.
people that want to listen to the song. So that was kind of how it ended up.
Well, and also I've written down anthem, but in the same question, I was like, it's a great anthem to pick us up at a time of year, and everyone is probably flagging a little bit, looking forward to summer. So that kind of, you obviously, yes, had purposely thought of the timing of it, because I was listening to
Yeah.
it thinking, yeah, yeah, I think we do need it at this time of year.
Yeah.
As opposed to the thinking might be, oh, start the year with an anthem.
Yeah.
But I think you totally made the case for ending the year with an
Yeah,
anthem.
100%, 100%. And like I've been in my year with like all the things I'm doing, like everything wrapping up, and where, we've got show season as well, and it's just like all things happening, and it's kind of like, the reward for all the hard work that we've done is like, what, it's looking back and going, if people are going back going, oh, I didn't reach all my goals this year, this happened, it's kind of like, hey, it's okay. Like, it's okay if you made a bad decision. It's okay if things aren't how you want it to be. You're still on your way. Like, you're not there yet. You're not finished. Um,
Yeah.
so that's kind of almost an encouragement as well. People that may be feeling a bit like, oh, I didn't get where I wanted to be. It's like, hey, you're still on your way. It's all good.
Oh, no, yeah. If it's there's a line in there that backs that up with what's something that your mother says. There's also something. There's a line saying, "My daddy says there ain't no failures, only lessons." So I'm wondering, for you, what are some things that might have felt like failures at the time, it turned out to be lessons?
Oof, yeah, there's so many things. Like, I guess, I mean, I've tried lots of different things as an artist and haven't always worked out. With like even working with people or different music I wanted to produce, and like, I've actually taken songs down because I didn't like them.
All right.
They
Okay.
were older. Yeah, because I changed. I didn't like not like did not like them, but just changed my kind of direction. And I
Mhm.
could have sat there and gone, hey, that was like so much money that I spent, like thousands and thousands of dollars that I spent. But I can look back and go, that was me learning what my sound was and learning what I wanted to do in as an artist. So sure, it was an expensive lesson, but it's not a failure. It's
Yeah.
it's a lesson. Going through a relationship that breaks up, it's like you learn a lot in that relationship. You learn about, what your boundaries are, who you are more. That's not a failure. You didn't fail in that relationship. You just learn a lesson. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, even though some of them are expensive and painful,
Yeah.
you're never a failure if you come out of it learning something and taking something away from it, big or small. So
Yeah.
that's what my dad says.
I think, well, I think it's also your philosophy now too, and good words to live by at all times. To
Yeah.
completely change the subject, you are also an exercise physiologist, and so I'm wondering if you're
Yeah.
still fitting in that work around music.
It is a juggle, Sophie. It is a
Right.
juggle.
I bet. Yeah.
I feel like I have two full-time jobs, which I probably do.
But
Um,
I think yes, you do. Because being an independent artist, even if you're not performing, and there's so many other things that go into it that, yeah, it's a full-time job.
Especially this year, like this year has literally been the big, like my days are like I wake up and I'm writing emails for like work at like 7 a.m. before I'm meant to start work. And then I'll finish, I'll drive to rehearsal in the city to meet my dancers. And then I'll come home and I'll make content. Like that's been my, like literally my life this whole year. It's kind of been a blur, but it's been a fun blur.
That's
Um, but yeah, I've been an exercise physiologist for 8, 9 years now. And I
Mhm.
actually manage my whole team in New South Wales as well. So I'm the state manager and I work as an EP, we call it EP. Um, and yeah, full-time muso. So it is a juggle, but it's being an EP, like it honestly changes people's lives. Like I've realized that, over time of I take people that have injuries, so they've had car accidents, they've had strokes, they've had chronic fatigue, they've had cancer, all these kind of things they've gone through, and exercise is medicine. And so we go through like what we can do to help them and get them back on their way to living their life as close to how they were before they got injured or sick. And so
Mhm.
some clients I've had for like 4 years, some people I've had for 6 months. Like it's very, very variable. Again, I get bored easily, so I have to have constant like changing. So I'm learning, like it's always something different. Every person is different, every injury is different. Um, you deal with a lot of different things, a lot of mental health stuff. So, and that also kind of feeds into my music, because sometimes I literally think, if I could write this person a song, what would I say?
Right.
And some people actually have, like I had one lady, and she was going through a really hard time, and she was kind of like almost suicidal, and had a car accident and had all these kind of injuries, and she was just not coping. And I told her I was a musician, and she said, "Do you have a song like I could listen to one of your songs?" And I gave her, I think it was "Hold On" at the time that I gave her, and she just burst into tears.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and she was like, you're literally like, it impacted me so much. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so cool to kind of have them transfer sometimes, and being
Yeah.
able to like encourage people and help them. And I'm a big believer of finding the root cause of problems. So like if someone has an injury, finding where it's come from and
Mhm.
dealing with that. And so that's kind of, yeah, what I do in my day-to-day job, plus being a musician and a
Well,
dancer.
because, well, and it's, yeah, I would imagine that understanding of movement through dance very much helps you in your day job, in inverted commas. And
Yes.
also the understanding of how creativity can affect your life as an artist, influences how you're helping people overcome things, because it is all part of that bigger whole of moving energy around, as you said, getting to the root cause of things. There's so much we can't actually see, let alone
Yeah.
understand, but I could see how the pieces of your life certainly fit together.
Yeah, people think it's weird, but like I needed a backup plan when I finished like when I finished school, I was like I wanted to be just a musician, just a musician. And I got out of school and I realized like it's expensive to be a musician. It's expensive. And so mum kind of told me at the time, like maybe you should get a backup plan to have something so you're not this struggling, starving artist. I don't like that narrative that that's what it's like we have to be like. And I was like, I don't want to be broke and like can't afford to do anything and go anywhere. So I went to uni and while I was at uni I learned, I just a lot of songwriting, I was doing gigs, I started doing all that, and then I kind of just kept going. And it's a very flexible schedule I have at my work, so I get my hours done in between doing things. And so yeah, pretty much I'm working after hours and before hours, and it's a whole situation, but it works, everything gets done. I do
Well, and I
sleep in
would,
there as well. And yeah, exercise is medicine. And being a dancer, I know how to recover properly. I know how to, get my body to be where it needs to do. I know how to perform, and it kind of all the education comes in. I'm even helping my dancers and going, hey, try this. My band, I'm like, hey, you're feeling tight in your shoulders here. Let me give you a massage ball, and we'll get rid of this. And it's like a recovery session. After after our show.
very fortunate.
So I was like, hey, free EP advice over here.
Well, exercise is medicine, but it's also maintenance. And I think it's because I often have people say to me, "Oh, how do you fit things in?" And I always say exercise is the key.
Yes.
I can only hold it together by staying fit, essentially, and getting that opportunity to externalize things. I think through exercise as well.
100 on mental health and exercise, like it literally, I always say if you're feeling stressed or anxious, go to a half an hour workout
Yeah,
and your problems will be 30% less. Like,
yeah.
but honestly, it is incredible. Incredible. I've actually been putting out, like, people have been asking me like, how do you fit in exercising it for yourself in your schedule? And I do like 20-minute 25-minute hit sessions. And so
Mhm.
people have asked me enough. I actually put a YouTube video up and like doing these YouTube videos of like sharing what I'm doing and like sharing little tips and tricks for like recovery and things like that. So kind of it's all kind of coming into the same like as Shara Rose as an
Was
artist.
that under your music channel as
Yeah,
well?
on YouTube. Yeah, so I just put one out, but I've recorded a few. I've got to like release them on YouTube every
Okay.
couple of weeks. So I'm kind of going, how can I, blend these together a little bit more and make it part of who I am. So it's becoming a thing. So it's more content to film, but it's
It
good.
is. But I suppose in terms of you saying how do you make it part of who you are, it is already is who you are. So
Yeah,
yeah,
literally.
it's just an extension of you being you.
Literally, yeah, yeah. We're just showing all the facets, all the facets. Again, they've all been separate for so many years. Now I'm like, why are these all separate? They all work together. I can make them all work together, you know?
I think it's because of ideas that we are given about the niches, as you said. What is you have to pick your lane and stay in it, and it's more convenient to have just one thing to follow. It's also a lot less work for the artist involved. But when you already have a life that encompasses all of these things, I think it's totally fine to show people who you are.
Yeah, 100%. And it all works together. It all makes sense in some way. So, but yeah, lots of content filming, lots of dancing filming and exercise filming, and it's like
It's been a
my,
big
my
year.
phone is full. So if my phone is full of content, I'm like always like.
Thank God for the cloud. You can back it all up to the cloud.
Oh, I'd be lost. Can you imagine? Oh, I don't want to imagine that. Losing everything.
Well, look, I will let you go because the time we're talking, you have other commitments. So it's been great to talk to you about the music that's out this year. I have no doubt next year will be even bigger and better for you because that's just the trajectory things are on. So Shara Rose, what a treat to talk to you again. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Lovely to talk to you too.